How come you keep looking for shortcuts instead of just doing the fucking work? All right. Welcome to another episode of the Breakthrough Boss Podcast, the Daily Recharge. I want to thank everyone for tuning in to today's episode of the Breakthrough Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Jovie J, Sumner, coming at you with more fuel for your fire. And today we're going to dive right in to today's topic, which is, how come you're still looking for shortcuts instead of just doing the fucking work? And what has to happen for you to stop avoiding doing the fucking work? So let's dive right in, because today's episode is going to be short but sweet and powerful. Why do men look for shortcuts instead of just doing the fucking work? And this is a question that I've often asked myself about myself, to be quite frank. And I think there are many different answers to this, but to put it in layman terms, we want it quick, we want it fast, and we want it easy. Why? That is the society that we live in now. We live in a society that is constantly bombarding us with images of fast cars, fast money, more success, more and more. And it's only human nature to not want to delay instant gratification. It's only human nature that if you're hungry, when do you want to eat, now or later? That's human nature. You want it now, not later. You don't want to eat later if you're hungry now. When you get starving hungry, you want it now because it starts to bother you. And so we live in a society where we're constantly having these images thrown at us. Look at what this person is doing. Look at what that person is doing. Look at how fast they're going. Look at how much they've accomplished. Look at how much money they're making. And so it is only natural for us to give in to human nature of wanting things quickly. And I'm not saying that every generation is like this, because I don't think all generations are like this. I do think this is human nature. Fuck your generation. It is human nature to want what you want sooner rather than later. If you say it's not, you're fucking lying, or really you don't want what you say you want at all. So let's just cut that bullshit narrative out. Old timers love to say, oh, everybody now, you kids want it quick, fast, and easy. Who the fuck doesn't? That's fucking human nature. However, the difference is older generations respected and trusted the process, and we'll get into that a bit later before we end today's episode. So we have to realize that wanting something quick oftentimes leads to us having to redo things over and over and over again until we learn the lessons. Because the reality is there is no shortcut to really building something that's sustainable or something that is worth having. And that's one of the things my mom always told me growing up. Anything worth having is worth working for. And working requires energy, time, and effort. Sometimes capital. And sometimes other resources as well. We have to learn that easy come is easy go. And that's definitely been my experience in life. Anytime in my life, anything is really just fallen into my lap without me having to exert any energy or to input or invest any time or any capital and money or anything on my behalf, it's never lasted. It's never lasted. And I guarantee you that if you look at your life, most of the things that you have, if it's something that's still in your life, it's something that you put the time into, you put the energy in, you put the work into accomplishing it or creating it or producing it. Even this podcast has taken time for me to bring it together and make it a reality. There have been many different twists and turns. There have been things I've had to learn and things I'm still learning in order to build it. And there are going to be other things I'm going to continue to have to learn in order to expand it and to grow it and to make it successful and to make sure that it's delivering value to the people who are listening and tuning in. So we have to understand that a lot of times we get excited and we get inspired and we say, oh man, I want to go do that. And that's beautiful. Nothing wrong with that. The desire is there. The desire is strong. You have that fire, that energy, and you're willing to do what it takes. But we also have to remember that there is a process and that things don't just happen overnight. And the things that do happen overnight, they normally don't last. So we have to get away from this wanting it quick and understanding that there's a process and there's a gap between A to Z, and the work is everything in between. The next thing is that we want it fast. Again, nothing wrong with that. But the biggest thing is this: most of the time, if it's fast, there really wasn't anything that was poured into it to make it valuable. Case in point, would you want a home that was built really fast and quick? Or would you want a home where you were given a timeline, you were informed of what would go into building the home, the foundation, the roofing, the plumbing, the walls, the floors, and you and your family had an opportunity to select those things and to take the time to focus on the details of what you would want to have in this home? Or would you want a home that, you talk to a developer today, 8 weeks away from now, the house was built, and you didn't get the opportunity to say, this is what color I want the drywalls to be, or the paint to be. This is how I want the master bedroom to look. Here is what I want in the sunroom. Here's what I'd like to have in the kitchen. I'd like to have an island. I'd like to have a 5-bedroom, 5-bathroom, 5-car garages. You would like to have that opportunity. But if you didn't get that opportunity and you just went out and bought the first house you laid eyes on and they only took 8 weeks to build it, what type of quality do you think will go into that house? And again, let me be clear. This is something that even myself, I still have that mentality of not necessarily wanting things quick, fast, and easy, but wanting it quick, fast, and easy, if that makes sense. And what I'm saying is, I don't think that it's that everyone's mentality is to look for a shortcut or, to try to always avoid doing the fucking work. There are some times, because that's just human nature. And then there are other times, I think, where we just don't know any better. We don't even know a path. And so we're just like, fuck, I want what I want now versus later. And I would say for myself in my life, the unwillingness to go ahead and pay the price up front, as much as I fucking don't want to use this metaphor, I'm going to use this metaphor. It really is kind of like the tortoise and the hare. It really is the example of the turtle, or tortoise, however the fuck you say it, taking his time. And that motherfucker was going slow as shit. But the hare was in a hurry. He was rushing, going quick. He was going fast. But every chance he get, because he was going so fast, he'd have to stop. He'd have to take a breather. He'd have to rest. And all the time while he was lollygagging and resting, the turtle is still in motion. Slow but sure. Steady but sure. Brick by brick, building his house or making his progress towards the finish line, one step at a time. And it really is that way in life. We've often heard the metaphor that life is a marathon, not a race, and that's one of the things where we have to realize that we're going to have to slow it down. Because we live in a fast-paced society, because we live in a technologically driven society, we have to intentionally slow ourselves and our minds down so that we can understand the process, of creating what we want, the outcomes, the results, so that we can understand and really learn the value of building something that is sustainable and long-standing, instead of something that is here today, gave us instant gratification, and it's gone tomorrow. And we developed no muscle, we developed no maturity, we developed no strength, no tenacity, no persistence, no tenacity. We have to slow down intentionally. And there's a reason why I'm saying it like that, because the society that we live in is still going very fast. Even post-COVID, it's still a very fast-paced society. So we have to begin to intentionally slow down and trust and respect these processes and understand that if we're willing to pay the price, and that there is a time gap, there is a timeline. And if we understand and accept what that timeline is, and we're committed and we're dedicated to doing everything on our part, arriving on schedule is the outcome. And that outcome can be a sooner rather than later, as long as you're willing to not get in a hurry, as long as you're willing to not go too fast. Now, do I believe that means go slow? No, that's not what the fuck I'm saying. I'm saying pace yourself and set your pace so that it is sustainable, and at the same time so that it respects the path that you are choosing, without trying to go for shortcuts or easy paths that are only going to bring you back in a loop of having to go through what you would have gone through anyway if you just would have been patient and willing to do what was necessary. To me, that's probably the biggest lesson I'd give my own younger self is, dude, slow down. You're going to have to pay your dues. There is no getting around paying your dues. And if you think you can shortcut paying your dues, life has a very keen sense of humor, and so does the universe. So it's like they say, man makes his plans and God laughs. The universe is the same way. The universe is no different. So be prepared to make adjustments, to make pivots, for things to change, for there to be some ups and downs, some curveballs. It's all part of the game. It's all part of your journey. The beautiful thing about it, though, as you learn what the process involves, and as you learn that it is a journey and that it is a voyage, you will naturally come to expect, or anticipate may be a better word. You will naturally come to anticipate there are going to be some twists and some turns in the movie. There are going to be some plot twists. And as you get more seasoned and as you begin to accept this, you'll not take everything so seriously anymore. You know, when I was younger, it used to just, oh man, it would just, my whole world would cave in. It was the end of the world if something didn't go the way I fucking planned it. That's life. Woke up today, had some plans, some curveballs hit. My wife's not feeling so well, so I may have to take her to urgent care. Everything will still move along, but just some things I wasn't planning for, some things she wasn't planning for. That's life. So we have to know that there are going to be curveballs and be willing to adapt and be flexible, because the more flexible you are, the more you will keep your peace of mind, and the more you'll be able to stay into the game so you can continue to move forward, make progress, and ultimately accomplish what it is that you want. The last thing I'll say about why we look for shortcuts instead of just doing the fucking work is because men like it easy. And it's funny because if you ever listen to women will tease men and say, men, when it comes to sex, you guys are way too easy. You give us a halfway decent looking chick, nice little body or something, hey, we're all in, right? A lot of times in life, that's how we want it. We want it easy, And the reality is this, though. We may want it easy, but we don't necessarily like easy. Why? Because we know if easy come, easy go. If it's too easily obtained, there's no merit in it. There's no respect in it. There's no admiration. We want the things on the top part of the shelf, not the bottom part of the shelf. Why? Because not everybody can get to the top part of the shelf. And if you're one of the few, one of the elite who is able and willing to pay the dues to get to the top part of the shelf, you're respected and you're admired. And rightfully so, because you've paid the dues and you've paid the cost for what it is that you desire to have. One of my favorite songs by the great late James Brown, Paid the Cost to Be the Boss. We all have to pay the cost to be the boss. There is no shortcut to being elite. There is no shortcut to being at the top. And if you do by chance happen to find it, I can almost guarantee you that it will be short-lived, because that is not how life works. You will arrive and you will not be prepared. You will not have been groomed, because all of the hard knocks, so to speak, that we come up against or that life throws our way, they are not comfortable. They're not easy, but they do develop stamina. They do develop persistence. They do develop our characters, and they do help us to grow stronger and to get better and to get wiser, as Jim Rohn used to often famously say. So we have to understand it's okay to want it easy, but we have to be willing to pay the price and do whatever it takes to accomplish what we ultimately want. The last thing I'll say is this. If you really want to stop looking for shortcuts and have what you want sooner rather than later, you have to learn to slow the fuck down, and you have to start developing and trusting the process and respecting the process. Again, there are processes for everything. I'm not saying sometimes those processes cannot be sped up, because they can, and you can still get what you need to get. I'm just saying find your lane and respect what the process is and be willing to develop into who you must develop into in order to ultimately accomplish what you want to accomplish and have what you want to have so that you can be who you want to be and do what you want to do. And this is the journey of life. And this is the recipe for ultimate success and fulfillment, in my opinion. Because when you slow down, you can enjoy the journey. You can develop who you are. You can become more. You can learn to trust yourself. You can learn to trust the decisions that you make. And you will start to respect yourself as well as the process that goes into you creating and accomplishing what it is that you desire to have and attaining the levels of success that you desire to have for yourself and the people who you love. So if you do those things, you understand that it is a process and it is a journey, and every man's journey is a bit different from the man next to him. You won't go through life always having to compare yourself, which wears the fuck out of us anyway. You'll learn to compare who you are today to who you used to be. And ultimately, in that process, you will gain more admiration and respect and confidence and certainty in yourself and your ability to create and to build and produce and do what you desire to do in life so that you can be and have what you desire to have in life. That's all I got for you guys. As always, I want to thank everyone for tuning in to another episode of the Breakthrough Boss Podcast, the Daily Recharge, coming at you and giving you that fuel and that fire. I'm your host, Jovie J. Sumner, reminding you to stay focused, stay disciplined, stay dedicated, and stay hungry, because lions are always hungry for more. God bless, guys. Sending you love, light, peace, prosperity, and abundance.